Most people confuse fame with real wealth. You are witnessing a silent revolution where the truly rich choose compounding assets over the fleeting validation of strangers and expensive, depreciating luxury assets. The silence is power. Hello, I am Rabbi Soul, here to decode secret financial laws that schools and massive banking institutions never teach. If you find this logic sound, subscribe to the channel so the algorithm can spread these uncomfortable truths to others. I have spent years observing how earners remain poor because they prioritize performance of richness over the mathematical reality of long-term financial freedom. Real growth is actually incredibly boring. We move beyond hype to examine 8 signs that you win the game despite your current bank balance. Let us transition into the core mechanics of money to see if you have started building a foundation that will actually last forever. Part 1. The invisible foundations. Your bank account is a mirror. We begin our deep dive into the first 2 milestones of the secret financial elite. Understanding these rules requires you to abandon every consumer impulse that society has injected into your brain since you were a child. Survival is not a lifestyle choice. Sign number 1 is that you have mastered the art of living significantly below your current means. Consider the case of Richard, who earns $75,000 but only spends $55,000. This $20,000 gap represents your first taste of true freedom and the ability to dictate your own future path. The gap is power. Poor Peter earns the same $75,000, yet he consistently spends $80,000 every year. High income can hide total bankruptcy. Peter is a slave to his high-maintenance life because he lacks the discipline to separate his ego from his wallet. Most people see his fancy car and assume that he is a wealthy man of status. Visibility is often a financial trap. Real wealth is the money you do not see because it is working silently in accounts rather than parked in driveway. Patience is a genuine superpower. Sign number 2 involves shifting your focus toward long-term gains instead of chasing the next quick win. Richard invests $500 every month into index funds without checking the daily fluctuations of the market. He understands that compound interest is a patient gardener that requires decades of consistent watering to produce a massive life harvest. Growth takes time. Peter jumps from crypto to day trading because he is addicted to the dopamine of a fast score. Speed often leads to total ruin. Those who look for the shortcut usually find themselves lost in a cycle of losses and missed opportunities for real compounding. After 20 years, Richard has $350,000, while Peter only has $60,000. The math proves boring is better. Choosing the quiet path of steady investment will always outperform the loud and frantic search for an overnight financial miracle. Consistency beats talent every single time. If you are investing even when the news is bad, then you have mastered the second sign of wealth. You are secretly becoming rich because you have stopped looking for the exit and started focusing on the long-term journey. High earners are often secretly broke. Statistics show that a large percentage of high-income individuals live from one paycheck to the next every month. They are running on a treadmill that requires more speed just to stay in the same place without falling off completely. The treadmill never ends. You are separating yourself from the herd by choosing to track every single dollar you earn. Awareness is the first tactical step. By understanding your cash flow, you gain the tactical advantage needed to rig the game in your own favor forever. Rich people buy assets first. Poor people buy liabilities that they think are assets, like a brand new house with a massive mortgage. Your willingness to buy things that put money in your pocket instead of taking it out is a clear success. Every time you say no to an impulse buy, You are essentially saying yes to a better future. It does not feel like you are getting rich when you drive a car that is 10 years old. However, the math tells a different story where your lack of a car payment is fueling your eventual financial freedom. Math is truth. Your focus must stay on the horizon. Short-term thinkers are always at the mercy of the current economic cycle and their own emotional whims. By adopting a decade-long perspective, you become immune to the noise and the panic that destroys the wealth of others. Part 2. The Armor of Silence. Chaos is an inevitable reality. This cushion of cash allows you to navigate the storms of life without drowning in the cold waters of high-interest debt. Calm in the storm. Richard keeps $20,000 in a high-yield savings account to prepare for any unexpected medical bills or home repairs. He does not touch this money for vacations or for buying new clothes at the mall during the holidays. This discipline ensures that his financial foundation remains strong, regardless of the economic cycles or sudden emergencies that affect his life. Many people think they are wealthy because they spend every single dollar of their paycheck on high-end luxury items. Safety is the ultimate luxury today. Real richness is not about what you can buy, but about the absolute peace you feel when the world gets very loud. Your ego demands a bigger house. Sign number 4 is possessing total immunity to lifestyle inflation as your professional income continues to rise over the coming years. Most workers immediately increase their monthly spending the very second they receive a modest promotion or a small annual cost of living adjustment. His lifestyle remained perfectly frozen. By the time he reached $80,000, he still lived on $48,000 and invested the massive $32,000 surplus. Don't take the bait. Peter saw his income grow to $80,000 and immediately upgraded to a luxury apartment with a view of the city center. He also purchased a brand new German sedan with a monthly payment that consumes a large portion of his take-home pay. He feels successful because his surroundings are new, but he is mathematically further behind than when he started his career 10 years ago. Most employees view a raise as a chance to buy more things that will eventually end up in a landfill. You have leveled up mentally. This shift from consumption to accumulation is the invisible barrier that separates the truly wealthy from the permanent members of the working class. One jacket can ruin your budget. Buying one new item often leads to a spiral of more purchases to match the new level of perceived quality. Resisting the urge to match your curtains to your new sofa is a tactical victory in the war for your financial soul. It is just a metal box. Seeing a car as a utility rather than a status symbol allows you to funnel thousands into assets that actually pay you. Think like an owner. You are winning if you have money sitting in an account that you do not need to brag about on social media. This quiet wealth creates a position of strength that allows you to negotiate with the world from a place of total confidence. If you find this logic sound, give this video a like so the algorithm can spread this truth to those still trapped. People assume they must work for 40 years because they are stuck in a cycle of debt and endless consumer payments. Saying no is a superpower. When you have 6 months of cash, you are no longer a slave to a paycheck and can walk away from any table. Be the person who is prepared. Most people only realize the true power of a buffer once they are facing a crisis they did not see coming. Your secret wealth is the shield that protects your family from the volatility of a world that does not care about your bills. Shield your future self. Part 3. The Armor of Autopilot. Comparison is the thief of joy. Sign number 5 is that you have finally stopped comparing your journey to the filtered lives of others online. You understand that most visible luxury is actually financed by high-interest debt that will eventually destroy the owner's future financial security. The trap is invisible. Richard sees a friend buy a $60,000 truck and feels zero envy toward his friend's new material possession. He chooses his used Toyota instead. By ignoring the urge to keep up with his peers, he protects his capital and allows it to grow in silence. Peter sees the same truck and immediately visits a dealership to finance a $50,000 vehicle at 7%. Peter is now a financial captive. He sacrificed his peace of mind to win a social competition that nobody else is actually paying attention to in reality. Master your systems to find peace. Sign number 6 is when money stops being the main character and becomes the background noise of your daily life. You have reached a level where your basic needs are met and your future is secured through the power of total automation. Systems breathe for you. Richard does not spend hours every week obsessing over his credit card points or the latest stock market trends. His wealth builds itself on autopilot. Because his contributions are automated, he can focus his mental energy on his family and his most important personal creative projects. Peter talks about money constantly because his life is a series of financial fires that he must put out daily. Anxiety is a sign of failure. He is mentally exhausted from managing his poverty rather than building a system that manages his wealth with zero daily effort. Real wealth is quiet because it does not need to prove its existence to anyone outside of your own home. Quiet money is the best money. If you find this logic sound, give this video a like so the algorithm can spread this truth to those still trapped. You are winning if you can buy a new shirt without feeling the need to buy a whole new wardrobe. One purchase should not trigger 10. Mastering your environment means you control your possessions instead of allowing your shiny new possessions to control your entire bank account. When you stop checking your portfolio every hour, you have achieved a psychological milestone that most investors never actually reach. Trust the process you created. This level of detachment proves that you are a master of the game rather than a victim of short-term volatility. Detach from the numbers. You have escaped the social matrix when you no longer feel the need to justify your lifestyle to your coworkers. Your validation comes from within. This inner strength is the ultimate defense against the marketing machines that want to keep you broke and hungry for more. Richard treats his investment contributions like a utility bill that must be paid before he can spend on anything fun. Pay yourself first, or stay poor. This mechanical approach to wealth building removes the emotional friction that causes most people to abandon their savings goals after 3 months. Peter waits until the end of the month to see if there is any money left over to save or invest. Leftovers will always be zero. Without a structured system, you will always find a reason to spend every dollar that is currently sitting in your checking account. You are getting rich if the sight of a neighbor's new car no longer triggers a feeling of personal financial inadequacy. Their debt is not your burden. Keeping your focus on your own spreadsheet rather than their driveway is a sign of a high level of financial maturity. Eyes on your own paper. Part 4. The Ultimate Sovereignty. Time is your only finite resource. Sign number 7 is that you have begun to value your time much more than acquiring new material possessions. The truly wealthy understand that money is simply a tool used to buy back hours that would otherwise be sold to an employer. Your life is ticking away. Richard pays a professional $150 every single month to clean his apartment and handle his laundry. This tactical purchase buys him 3 precious hours that he spends playing with his children or working on a new hobby. He is not being lazy, but is instead making a strategic trade to ensure his happiness and his mental health remain high. Being busy is a form of laziness. Most people glorify the hustle because they do not have the financial stability to actually slow down and breathe. If you have the power to say no to a weekend shift, then you are richer than a man with millions and no time. Freedom is the goal. A Peter does every single chore himself because he believes that saving every penny is the only way to get ahead. He is exhausted and bitter. By refusing to buy his time back, he remains a servant to his own schedule and never has the energy to innovate. Ownership is the path to power. Sign number 8 is taking total ownership of your financial reality instead of blaming the economy or your boss. When you stop making excuses for your lack of progress, you finally gain the power to change your trajectory toward real wealth. Stop pointing your finger. Richard earns $65,000 in an expensive city, but he chooses to live with a roommate to save money. He does not complain about the high rent because he knows that cutting his housing costs is a temporary sacrifice for freedom. This radical accountability allows him to invest $85,000 over 5 years, while his peers simply complain about the local taxes. Your circumstances are your raw materials. Peter makes the same $65,000, but spends his time explaining to friends why it is impossible to save anything. Because he views himself as a victim of the system he never looks for. The small optimizations that would eventually lead to freedom. You are secretly getting rich if you have stopped saying that you cannot afford something and started saying it is not a priority. Language reveals your internal power. If you find this logic sound, give this video a like so the algorithm can spread this truth to those still trapped. Real wealth is the ability to wake up in the morning and decide exactly what you want to do with your day. This is the ultimate milestone. If you are optimizing for autonomy rather than for the approval of your social circle, you have already won the game of life. Wake up on your terms. Many people reach retirement age with a large bank account, but they no longer have the health or time to enjoy it. Do not wait until 65. Building quiet wealth is about creating a life that you do not need to take a vacation from every single month of the year. When you take responsibility for every dollar that leaves your pocket, you become the CEO of your own personal financial empire. You are the only pilot. The moment you stop waiting for a miracle and start working with the math is the moment your secret wealth begins to explode. The pilot is you. Wealth is built in the dark. You have decoded the 8 subtle markers of a man who is winning the long game against the loud consumerist crowd. We have covered living below means, long-term thinking, financial buffers, and the total immunity to the trap of lifestyle inflation. The shadows are bright. Stop seeking validation from the broke. Remember signs 5 and 6, where you stopped comparing yourself and turned money into a silent background noise in your life. By choosing the quiet path of Richard, you are essentially buying a life that most people only dream about during their commute. Buy your life back. You are now a strategic player. The final signs of valuing time and taking ownership will protect you from ever becoming a victim of the system. If you found this logic sound, give this video a like and share it with someone who is still trapped in the maze. Join our community of thinkers by subscribing today to receive more deep insights on the hidden laws of building generational wealth. The game is finally yours. Remember that being rich is a specific state of mind that eventually manifests through consistent and highly disciplined financial action. Stop looking at what others are doing and focus entirely on the mathematical compounding of your own assets and your personal freedom. Your journey starts now. Every dollar you save today is a soldier that will fight for your independence in the battles that come tomorrow morning. Never forget that the goal is not to look rich, but to actually be wealthy enough to walk away from any situation. Freedom is the only prize. I am Rabbi Soul, and I will see you in the next deep dive into the invisible mechanics of the financial world. Master the silence of wealth.